Hello and welcome to this episode of Dollars and Cents. I'm Laura Painter. Today we are heading to the supermarket and I've got a question for you. How much are you spending on groceries? Chances are it's a lot. New research shows costs keep going up and inflation rose again earlier this year. So how can you get more out of your budget? I talked with Sacramento-based financial planner and CEO of Golden Wealth Capital, Pamela Rodriguez, to get you advice on getting the most out of your dollar. It's a troubling trend hitting shoppers hard in the wallet.
I love Honeycrisp, but $8, $9 for a bag of apples? Nah, that's not good.
The rising cost of food and alarming large grocery bills.
But I have not seen any of my bills get cheaper. It does not feel like it's gotten better.
I'm living paycheck to paycheck because it's so hard really to save.
Consumer prices are up 3.2% from a year ago, slightly above what was expected. Sacramento-based financial planner Pamela Rodriguez says Americans are noticing.
Technically, your groceries are only supposed to make up about 4% of your overall budget.
But data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows Californians pay the most in the country for groceries, averaging nearly $300 a week.
Right now, we're seeing groceries be the second largest expense and sometimes the largest expense even over a mortgage.
Cereal and egg prices rose again, with eggs up nearly 6%. President Biden touted this month's inflation report, saying, "My top economic priority is lowering costs, and we continue to make progress."
Unfortunately, we pay higher taxes in all the other states, and, that also goes for businesses. They will kind of pass down, expenses, etc.
U.S. Census data also shows your family size and the age of the people in your family can impact your grocery bill.
When you have older kids who are very vocal about what they like, what they want, what they don't want, and they make it very difficult for you sometimes, right, to figure out what you want to have for dinner, that's when it becomes a lot pricier.
It's not always easy, but you can save money by sharing the same meal together that's cooked at home. Convenience versus cooking from scratch are impacting grocery bills too.
There's a lot of, prepackaged food, which is the most expensive thing at grocery stores.
So stick to the edges of the grocery store where the fresh produce and meats are. Skip the center aisles filled with packaged food.
My best advice is always to plan ahead. I also love, being part of a specific grocery store club savings, and that will really save you quite a bit.
Believe it or not, a new report from the U.S. Census shows race and education level might factor into how much you spend on food. It's even more important here in the Golden State because Californians have the highest grocery bills in the country, averaging nearly $300 a week. I talked with a UC Davis professor about how race and education factor into what you pay at the register.
There's definitely going to be different cultural elements that come into play.
A recent survey by the U.S. Census shows Americans of Hispanic or Latino ethnicity report the highest average weekly spending on groceries at around $325 a week. Also, people with less than a high school education report the highest average spending level of $320 per week. Both of those numbers are higher than the national average of just under $300 a week. To understand the story behind these numbers, I sat down with Keith Taylor, an economics professor at UC Davis, to get a closer look at the data, which show race and education can influence how much you spend.
I imagine in some households where they're buying more groceries, they might be lower income and they're not eating out as often. So what you're seeing reflected in some of those bills might be a reflection of folks not going out to eat.
Here's another way to think about it. Eating at home gives you more bang for your buck.
When it comes to cost savings, groceries are by far going to be cheaper than eating out.
And the content of your grocery list matters.
When you do get groceries, you can control what goes into your pan, your pots, and whatnot. And so you can eat healthier, you can eat more nutritious. If you go to a restaurant and you're trying to eat healthier and more nutritious, it's going to cost a little bit more. So there are trade-offs in this for sure. Just because people are spending more on groceries doesn't mean that it's a negative thing, per se.
Many of you tell me stubbornly high grocery prices are still such a drain on your budget. According to the California Legislative Analyst's Office, prices remain about 20% higher overall since 2020. In fact, the Federal Reserve at the start of this month said inflation is still so high it doesn't plan to cut interest rates just yet.
One of the excuses we're hearing from the grocery chains is that they've had to increase their cost in order to offset the challenges of the supply chain. but there's some economists are calling a greedflation coming into play here.
Oh, greedflation?
Greedflation.
Oh, what's that about?
So what's occurring, according to the allegations of some of these economists, is that against the backdrop of the supply chain crisis, a lot of these big companies are using this as an excuse to goose their corporate profits along the way.
As a result, shoppers are fighting back. Research shows during these high inflation times, more people are focusing their spending on basics instead of luxury or non-essential items, shifting their spending from name brands to store brands.
About budgeting, it's going to be about clever ways to do food storage and food preparation in order to make your dollar go further.
Thank you for watching this episode of Dollars and Cents. I'm Laura Painter. Here at ABC 10, we stand for you, so we made all these money-saving stories easy to find at abc10.com/dollarsandcents. You can find a link on our homepage and the ABC 10 app. There you'll find the latest newscasts and headlines, and stay up to date on the weather and see all the great work and stories we tell here at ABC 10. Thanks again for watching. Take care.